समुद्रस्य हिमाद्रश्चैव दक्षिणं वर्षं तद् भारतं नाम भारतीयत्र सन्तति।
Namaste. Welcome to today's episode of Itihasa. Today we have come to Goa. We have not only come to Goa, we have come to an island in Goa that is known as Diva Island. Diva Island is Deepavati, which means small island. This island is not small at all. When we think of Goa, we tend to think of beaches, we tend to think of plantations. This was in a way the heart of old Goa. There used to be famous temples here. There used to be the Saptakoteshwar Shiva temple. There was a Ganesha temple. There was a Mahamaya temple. There was a Dwarkeshwar temple. All of those temples suffered in the course of the deprivations of the Deccan Sultanate. They suffered as a result of the Portuguese incursions. The place where I am standing now is called Saptakoti Tirtha Thala. This is where Saptakoteshwar Shiva used to be once upon a time. He has been relocated now. Behind me you can see these 108 places where diyas used to be lit.
भारत सोने की चिड़िया कहा जाने वाला देश। भारत जिसकी समृद्ध विरासत, उत्कृष्ट वास्तुकला शैली और सांस्कृतिक विविधता दुनिया के कोने कोने में बसे लोगों को आकर्षित करती है। भारत का हर नगर, हर शहर अपने आप में अमूल्य ऐतिहासिक धरोहरों का गढ़ है। उन्हीं में से एक है गोवा। गोवा यानी एक से बढ़कर एक बीच, सूर्य की किरणों से सुनहरे हुए रेत के विशाल तट, हरियाली के साथ खूबसूरत झरने। मानो इस जगह पर प्रकृति ने अपना सौंदर्य खुलकर लुटाया हो। यहाँ की आबो हवा में ही कुछ बात है, तभी तो देसी विदेशी पर्यटकों की पसंदीदा जगह है गोवा। लेकिन इन सबसे हटके गोवा की एक अलग कहानी भी है, एक नई तस्वीर है। ये कहानी है सदियों पुराने इतिहास की। ये तस्वीर है आस्था और विश्वास की। प्राचीन मंदिरों के साथ साथ जागृत विग्रह और अनुपम देवस्थलों का केंद्र है गोवा। कहते हैं यहाँ के प्रत्येक गांव में एक मंदिर होता था। ये मंदिर सभी सामाजिक, सांस्कृतिक और आर्थिक सभाओं के केंद्र थे। प्रत्येक मंदिर का एक संरक्षक होता जो मंदिर में पूजा अर्चना से लेकर रख रखाव की जिम्मेदारी संभालता था। लेकिन पुर्तगालियों ने अपने शासन के दौरान गोवा की मूल मंदिरों को ध्वस्त कर दिया। उस दौरान मंदिर के संरक्षकों ने मंदिर में स्थापित मूर्तियों को या तो छुपा दिया या किसी और जगह स्थापित कर दिया। गोवा की राजधानी से लेकर सुदूर ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में ऐसे कई मंदिर हैं जो संरचना और वास्तु की दृष्टि से अनूठे हैं। गोवा का एक प्राचीन मंदिर है, मेल्टेड स्टोन का बना तांबड़ी सुरला का महादेव मंदिर। तांबड़ी सुरला मंदिर का निर्माण 12वीं शताब्दी में जैन शैली में किया गया था। मंदिर का मुख्य द्वार पूर्व दिशा में है। मंदिर में गर्भगृह, अंतराल और मुख मंडप हैं। गर्भगृह की दीवारों पर ब्रह्मा, विष्णु, लक्ष्मी, कीर्तिमुख, शिव, उमा और गणेश जी की मूर्ति दिखाई देती है। मंदिर की बनावट कदम्ब शिल्पकला का अद्भुत उदाहरण है। ऐसे ही यहाँ सुदूर ग्रामीण क्षेत्र कुर्डी में एक अन्य महादेव मंदिर है, जिसे अपने मूल स्थान से 17 से 18 किलोमीटर दूर लाकर स्थापित किया गया था। पुरातत्व विभाग के अनुसार मंदिर कदम्ब वंश के राजाओं के समय का है, जो लगभग 10वीं-11वीं शताब्दी में बनाया गया है। मंदिर प्राचीन वास्तुकला और शिल्प का खूबसूरत उदाहरण प्रस्तुत करता है। दक्षिण गोवा के कावेलम में स्थित है शांता दुर्गा मंदिर। पिरामिड शिकारा, धनुषाकार खिड़कियां और एक फ्लैट गुंबद के रूप में निर्मित है ये मंदिर। यहाँ स्वर्ण पालकी उत्सव सबसे प्रमुख और लोकप्रिय त्योहार है। गोवा के मंदिरों में मंगेशी मंदिर है, जो लोगों के आकर्षण का केंद्र बना हुआ है। आधुनिक समय की कला और पारंपरिक हिंदू पैटर्न का एक आदर्श मिश्रण है। मंगेशी मंदिर अपने दीप स्तंभ के लिए जाना जाता है। इसी तरह यहाँ महलासा मंदिर या महलासा नारायणी मंदिर है। गोवा के मरडोल, पोना में स्थित एक प्रसिद्ध मंदिर है, जिसकी गिनती गोवा के प्रमुख तीर्थ स्थल में की जाती है। ये मंदिर भगवान विष्णु के मोहिनी अवतार को समर्पित है। गोवा में सप्तकोटेश्वर मंदिर है और यहाँ तक पहुँचने के लिए फेरी काफी मददगार साबित होती है। ये मंदिर अपने मूल स्थान से लगभग 8 किलोमीटर दूर स्थापित किया गया है। सप्तकोटेश्वर मंदिर पहाड़ियों के बीच स्थित है। इस मंदिर की पुनर्स्थापना शिवाजी महाराज ने की थी। इसके मूल स्थल के भग्नावशेष इसका प्रमाण है कि कभी यहाँ भव्य देव स्थल था। गोवा की अपनी एक अलग ऐतिहासिक विरासत भी है। ये विरासत है मंदिरों की।
We have been joined by two dear friends, Sumant Batra. Welcome to Itihasa. Sumant is a noted insolvency lawyer, has written a book on Sanjeev Kumar and has settled down now in Diva Island. K.K. Muhammad, I'm not very sure how to describe him, ex-Archaeological Survey of India, Padma Shri, has restored temples in Goa and has restored temples in of all places in Morena, in the so-called dacoit-infested Chambal territory. Welcome. Let me start with you, Sumant. What is this place that we are in?
So
Tell us a little bit about Divar Island and about this particular place.
So Divar, we call it Divar today, but it was always called as Devawadi, and locals even today call it as Devadi. It was because the English, the Portuguese couldn't really call it as Devawadi. It came to be called as Divar, but Devawadi for them was because it was the abode of gods. This is an island which has 4 villages, which was full of temples. There was not a deity which did not have a home here. And the and the 4 villages are Navalim, Goltem, Narwa and Malar. But out of the all 4, Narwa was considered to be the most sacred, which is where we are sitting right now, because it was home to the Saptakoteshwar temple, which we are talking about today. You mentioned in your introduction. It was a huge complex. What you see, a little bit of houses here, full of trees, was a huge complex of temples. Saptakoteshwar, and of course there was also the Bhairav temple there. There is a large pond, a sacred pond with steps just opposite the Bhairav temple, and of course what you see here is also a sacred pond around which there were 108 temples, and it is even today called as a Tirth place, and people come from all over the country to pay their respect to the
but to come here, you have to come by ferry.
You have to come only by ferry, and you can imagine today you still have an organized way of coming with the government state facilities, the transport department. But in the older times, they used to take boats and their own ways, and it is believed that only the gods and those priests could live on this island, and the others had to just come and visit for prayers and then had to go back. And of course, because of a calamity that occurred, as a result of that, some villages were allowed to relocate here, and that is how it became an island where people also live today. I have to tell you this temple was built, although there is no exact date which we have been able to identify in my research, but somewhere between 10th to 12th century is when it is supposed to have built by the Kadamba.
Built by the queen for the king.
Yes.
Kamala Devi.
That's right. And it was destroyed at some point in time, and the deity was relocated to another place in Bicholim. But because it was from Narwa, the home was Narwa, that place also is called as Narwa in Bicholim, which is where the original idol now sits. Yes, but the people still believe that this is where the original house, home of the deity was, and they just consider it as a Tirth and come here.
K.K. Muhammad, if I come to visit temples in Goa, I go to Shantadurga. But there are many more temples in Goa, many older temples. So tell us about Goa's temple heritage.
See, the Goa temples, they have got a very rich cultural history, and most of these temples, they are reminiscent of a very rich and colorful history, which we have not been able to discern so far. If you go to this one, Arvelam, that is a small beautiful caves that goes back to 4th century are there.
4th century?
4th century, because we won't expect all these things, normally whenever a tourist come, he's blinded by the churches, beaches and various other things here in Goa. But they are not aware of the fact that we have got a very rich history which goes back to Harvelam, that is 4th century AD. And also there is another group of temple, that Tamdisulla temple. That Tamdisulla temple, that goes back to 12th century. And again there is another one, a very important temple, that is Kurdi Mahadevatemple, which I had transplanted, because in the whole country only 4 transplantations have taken place so far. So one is Nagarjuna, second is Sri Shailam, and the third was this Kurdi Mahadevatemple. It was about to be submerged, so we had to rescue them. So from its original place to a distance of 18 kilometers away, we could retransplant it. So that is this one. I mean, most of these temples are devoted to Shiva, Lord Shiva, and Shiva would be having that Jata Makuta, and he would be having the Charma Vastra also. Jadi, Charmi, Shikandi cha Sarvanga Sarva Bhavana, Harischa Harinachascha Sarva Bhuda Hara Prabhu. It is ultimately he who destroys everything. Shashudam Shivam Achudam. If there is anything everlasting, that is only Lord Shiva. So he regenerates, periodically, and that is what now we are witnessing here, or we are going to witness here.
Where is the new Narwa? Is it on the main Goa Oh, where is it? This
It's
is the old
near
Narvaez.
Bicholim there, because these are, I mean, different small talukas are there. Mainly there are two districts, that is South Goa and North Goa, and many talukas are there. So it is in Bicholim taluka now that this one, I mean, the temple which was the deity which was taken from here, and that was reinstalled there. But as Sumanji said, because this is the real ancient abode of God. Devariya, I mean, this Divar means there is one more interpretation, that is, this is the Deva Devariya of Rayas. Rayas means mostly the rulers of Vijayanagar. So it was they who had given I mean, once it was destroyed at some point of time, again they revived it. And then at a later period it was again destroyed. So it has got that kind of history of destruction and then regeneration.
Have there been archaeological ASI excavations on Diva Island?
Yes, it's not a protected monument by the Archaeological Survey of India, but it is a state protected monument. But a site like this one, and a huge sprawling site like this one, with a lot of archaeological remnant, it should have been protected by the Archaeological Survey of India and taken up the large excavation and conservation work also.
How concerned are the inhabitants about protecting this heritage? How aware are they about protecting this heritage?
They are aware and they are very, very keen to continue to protect them and maintain its sanctity. Some small temples, within the limited resources that they had, they were able to, mobilizing the local resources, they have been able to do at least 2 of those temples that I am familiar of, and one I was in my little way associated with. But this is too massive a scale for them to be able to comprehend and even consider taking up anything. But they would welcome any steps, any institutionalized step to return it, because there is a huge bonding that the locals have, the people of Goa have, and across, I would say, this region have. People come here from all regions, not just local Diwar or from around the villages.
One reads about Goa's temple architecture, Shantadurga, Mangeshi, but those are clearly of later vintage.
16th century.
This sort of predates all of that.
Yes. That is the beauty of these temples. And Shantadurga, Nageshi, Mangeshi, and all of them it's a hybrid of temple architecture and the later development of the Portuguese architecture. So you have a mix and mingling of all those things. But this is with its own pristine purity. I mean, nothing has been done here. So we can revive it in such a way so that it should serve as a sample for the real original temple of our ancient Goa, ancestral Goa.
Which brings me to this remarkable story of restoration in Chambal and Morena.
Sir.
So tell us about that. Tell us about Bateshwar and all the temples actually.
Bateshwar is actually in the Chambal valley. The biggest challenge there was, the whole area was infested with the dacoits. And there, unless and until you get their express permission, you just cannot do anything there at all. So when we worked, there were 3 groups. One was the Nirbhay Singh Gujjar group, that was the most prominent group. Then Ram Babu Gadariya group was there. Then Tokia, that was mainly from Rajasthan area. So we spoke through some police officers, because it was one Mr. Vijay Raman who had shot dead Pan Singh Tomar. So he was a legendary figure and I knew him because of his wife also. And then through those people and some surrendered dacoits also, we spoke to them. And finally they agreed for the sample, this one, and we were able to do a very good work within 4 months. Within 4 to 5 months we were able to do a very good work. We not only re-erected the temple, and we also gave it a very ancient look. So then they were completely satisfied. So that was then we got all the support and permission from these people. And the temple reconstruction continued. 80 temples we have been able to conserve so far, and now 120 temples are there.
And those 120 temples, has anything been done to restore them?
Yes, we can do a lot. Now, this one, Infosys has come forward. Sudha Narayan Murthy, one day madam rang up me and then told me, madam is an author, madam is an entrepreneur, industrialist, everything rolled into one person, and an author also. So, madam came, saw the whole thing, and highly impressed by those things, because you have to show the old photograph. ये किस तरह था, अब हमने किसे बनाया, because it was in a huge earthquake. It was not an attack. In a huge earthquake, the entire temple town had come tumbling down like a pack of cards. उससे फिर हम लोगों ने we put a tongue in each and every stone, and then that was pieced together with meticulous care and precision. वो मंदिर है जो आपके सामने.
Sumant, let me ask you this question. You are a lawyer, and I am not going to embarrass K.K. Mohammed by asking him this question. Do you think something coming under the protection of ASI sometimes becomes a hindrance to getting private initiatives like Sudha Murthy's?
Well, yes, I think it works like a double-edged sword. I mean, while of course it brings in the institutional protection, which is also very necessary to safeguard these properties, but it just stops short there. I mean, you're able to protect it, then there's a status quo. If you need to take it to the next level, which is what the aspirational level is, to restore them, bring them back to the old glory, that's where then the whole red tapeism starts, the whole constraints begin. And corporates don't like to work and frustrate. It frustrates them. They want the freedom, but of course you need to work within the framework of certain rules. So there has to be a fine balance of the two, is how I would like to describe it.
So, one often uses the words excavation, one understands that, and preservation and conservation, people use the two words together. So, preservation essentially means preserving it in the present status quo, whereas restoration might mean restoring it to its past glory. Is that the...
Absolutely, absolutely. That is how you would describe it, not only in terms of its dictionary meaning, but also in terms of how in essence you would understand the two words.
Here, fortunately, I mean, restoration earlier, ASI was also against restoration works. But here is a different situation, where you have all the parts are just lying down. The thing is that you have to ask each stone, where were you when the temple was standing, and then redo it as per the rules. And that too, we go not by any other thing. One is the existing temples would be there, that would be taken as a model. And then we have got certain temple treaties are there. So, one treaty is Manasara. If it is a 4th century, 5th century, 6th century, we go by Manasara. That is the Shilpa Shastra. And then from 9th century onwards, we have got Maya Mata. That was another treaty, Shilpa Shastra. And then we have got Samarangana Sutra. If it is in MP, it is Samarangana Sutra of the great Raja Bhoj. So, we go, I mean, by Shilpa Shastras also and the existing model also, and that is a very good combination. You can redo it.
But it is not going to be very easy to get those same materials. If I get those materials, do I have the skilled artisans to do that work? Are these challenges?
These are the real challenges. I mean, you have to have the artisans, the right artists, they would be demanding a lot. So, there is a problem now with ASI is facing, but ASI could have resolved all these things. You have to have expert karigar for that kind of thing. So, their rate may not be in the government schedule of rates, it may not be there. So, there the Archaeological Survey of India should come out with a via media. No, these are the expert people, and the Rajasthan government is doing it. So, otherwise, there will be so many hiccups, there will be so many objections and other things. So, you have to overcome all these objections. For that, you need a very visionary minister should be there, and a very visionary and executionary director general should be there, and equally you have to have the superintending archaeologist. It is really the superintending archaeologist of a place who calls the shots. So, you have to have all these things, and then go to say you will have to take some challenges also, which is there, but it is highly rewarding also.
KK Mohammed,
Sir,
thank you very much.
बहुत ही अच्छा लगा.
I don't really have words to thank you on behalf of the viewers
Sir, sir, sir.
for educating us about restoration in Goa, Goa's temple heritage, what happened in Chambal,
Yes.
and what needs to be done.
Yeah, surely, sir, surely.
Sumant, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for taking the decision to relocate to Diva. Otherwise, I would have not got to know. The viewers would not have got to know about this glorious heritage.
It's a privilege. Thank you so much.
उत्तरं यत् समुद्रस्य हिमाद्रश्चैव दक्षिणं वर्षं तद् भारतं नाम भारतीयत्र सन्ततिः